Hi, everyone. Welcome to Empowered with Gina from ZA Ranch, our studio out here in Louisiana. Today, I'm super excited to introduce to you Logan Doerries from the School of Styling.
Hi, Gina. Thank you for having
friend.
me.
I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, me too.
So, Logan lives in the area, and I thought it would be super fun to have her come out here in the barn, our new studio space. Why not? We're just going to talk so you get to know Logan and everything she's created, everything she's about, and why I wanted her to be a guest today. Okay, so I always start it off this way. 3 adjectives to describe yourself.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So I would say my 3 adjectives are compassionate, creative, and encouraging.
Love. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up on the West Bank of New Orleans, so just a little suburb right outside the city. And my mom actually married when I was a teenager, and my stepdad was a pilot. So we moved all over the U.S. and have been back, went to LSU, and I've been home since.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that definitely contributes to the business I have now of always meeting new people and traveling. I can thank all of our travels back growing up to being so interested in always meeting new people and going new places.
Okay, so you started off here, you went around the country.
Yes.
And you came back.
Yep.
So family life, what does that look like for you?
So we have 2 little boys, 4 and 2. They're crazy. Yes. I'm one of 4 girls. I never played a sport. I am the girliest girl. So raising 2 boys has been so interesting and so much fun.
Yeah.
But we love it. My husband and I, we are making 8 years in January. So it's been fun. We moved to this area, the North Shore, about 2 years ago as well. And we just love it. It's very community focused, and it's a great place to raise your kids for sure.
Okay, so I want to talk about your business because
Yeah.
this is just such an interesting and creative concept that you came up with. Walk me through what the School of Styling is, where the idea came from, where were you in your life, and then what it's become today and where you're taking it.
Yeah, so the School of Styling will be making 10 years in 2024, so that's super exciting. I have a background in event planning, wedding planning, entrepreneur. I've always kind of had this love of design. So when I started out my business, you can kind of find out your basics of building a business. But in the event world, especially with the social media blowing up, as I was kind of building my business, you couldn't just be good at your job anymore. You had to really be able to showcase, have a portfolio. You're a great photographer, but are you styling your bride and groom? Are you, the beautiful images of the shoes and the invitation, the jewelry, and the beautiful tablescapes? This is what people in the event industry were looking for when they're choosing vendors. So that became a really integral part of being a business owner. So that's kind of how the School of Styling came about, is teaching professionals styling. So we would have a flat lay seminar. We'd have a tablescape seminar where we bring in linens and props and florals and have people just use their creativity after, a quick demonstration. And then you'd have these beautiful designs that our attendees could use in their portfolio, their websites, that kind of thing. So that's originally the format we catered to florists, photographers, wedding planners, and we still had the format of marketing and pricing and sales. And I would say the shift of going into even more of the building your business along with the lifestyle, value, interpersonal component that you experienced at the recent retreat. I just feel like I needed that personally, and that is kind of the shift that the retreat started to take. So we still do, obviously I want the details, I want the beautiful things to be included in our events, but I think it kind of went from here's how to style a tablescape to here's how to build a business that suits your life.
Wow. Okay, so your clientele are the planners, the photographers, the vendors.
That's how it started. And now I'll say we're almost any business owner that wants to have a healthy work-life balance or wants to build a personal brand. I mean, we've had real estate agents, we've had lawyers, we've had just such an array of business owners that have really broadened from just that creative designer person that used to attend all of our events.
I love that. So you've created not an escape, but an opportunity for people to really plug into. It's not just the cookie cutter, you're a lawyer, you're a real estate, you're this, that. You can actually develop out this whole lifestyle and this whole quality of life around your business.
Exactly.
So you mentioned the retreat. Talk to us where that idea came, and it was here at this gorgeous ranch. Tell us where the idea came from, and it was the first one, right?
Yeah, so that was our first one that had an emphasis on motherhood and running a business. Because I found
favorite topics.
Exactly. And so often I have kind of created things that I have needed. I'm struggling with scaling. Let me find an expert in scaling to come and talk at an event. So I have found, since I had my second son and moving to a new city, I was really struggling with balancing all of the things and, wanting to be at pickup and all the parties and then wanting to harness this business I had been building. And I felt like I was really struggling. And every time I had a conversation with another mother, they were in the same boat. Everyone was feeling the exact same feeling. So how can we create a space where we can all go and talk about it, have these conversations, and realize like we're not alone? And that's what the Motherheard Retreat was. And it was so much better than I even could have imagined.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
The space was beautiful, of course, but just having everyone come and stay together created such a community. People were having these heartfelt conversations over their coffee in the morning.
Yes.
Before we even sat down to get started. So that was just incredible to see. And, what I thought was going to kind of be, how do we talk about being moms and running businesses turned into, how do we not define ourselves as only those two things? And how do we not, put so much pressure on ourselves, and how do we work through the guilt of not being the best at both, and why do we feel like we need to? And so many of those conversations just happened organically, and it was an amazing experience for sure.
And I was there for a day-ish of it, and I can attest to the quality and caliber of guests and speakers that you had there. It was so intentional, and you can tell you curated everything. You and Jen Peralt, you curated things very intentionally to address those topics. And the women that attended really came with that expectation. They came in that mind space. And it was really beautiful to see you create that, an idea that came to life. Okay, so the retreat created the space for women, entrepreneurs, wherever they were in that, timeline of being an entrepreneur, or even just a business person. It created that space for them to come and talk and connect and have those conversations. Are we doing a part 2?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So Jen and I, just an idea that we had, I think we've told you the story, we were in line for the bathroom and discussed it, and then it came to fruition, and it was so much better than we thought. And, she and I working together with you was just such a great experience, and the feedback we got from it was so positive, and people just wanting that. I want to come and I want to be away. I want to be totally connected and zoned in, and they really loved it. So we look forward to hosting another one in March and kind of creating that same type of camaraderie. And, the School of Styling's tagline is "Fight for the space to be creative." So, there's always a reason to not invest in your business or take time away for your family or invest in yourself. So we really honed that in, that it's always worth it to take the chance on yourself.
Always worth investing in yourself.
Yes.
So for somebody, a creative or non-creative, just somebody, a person out there watching this who's inspired by your story, and you're a mom, you're married, you have a life, you're friendly, you have a friend life, you have a business life, you're scaling your business. You're also forward thinking and taking risks. What advice do you have for them? Where they're looking at you and they're just like, I'm pulling my hair out and I'm just trying to stay above water.
The best advice I have ever been given is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I have to remind myself of that all the time because I'm a people pleaser and I struggle. You talked about this recently, that imposter syndrome. You think like, oh, I'm running this business that I don't struggle with that. I struggle with it every day. That's why we talk about it so much. I want to tell everyone who comes, like, I'm feeling all of the things you're feeling.
All of it.
Even if, you look at someone who seems to have it all together, I promise you, if they've overcome it, they've at some point felt it. So being in a room with people who are similar, all they're going to do is be able to give you advice, even if it's not a speaker. You could just happen to sit next to someone who's like, oh my gosh, I felt that exact same way, or I struggled with this, or I didn't have family in town, I could never have childcare, or, I felt like people were always telling me my little business, in the creative
Small
industry.
business.
We get that a lot.
That phrase.
People don't really understand what it is that we're doing. I mean, even for me, a lot of my friends and family are like, the school of styling, they don't really
What's a
understand.
little project you're working on?
Exactly. So it's like once you realize that like you're in charge of how you feel about it and you don't let any of that feedback get to you and you just focus on your own goals and creating a business that allows you to live the life you want, that's all that matters. A lot of people have the fear of, oh, I can't quit the full-time job I hate.
That's it.
Because I'm scared. We're all scared.
What if?
Yeah,
what if
what
I
if
fail?
It's awesome?
But what if it works?
What if it's the best? What if you never miss anything with your kids or anything with your friends? When I was a wedding planner, I worked every single weekend. I missed friends, weddings, close friends, family parties. For what? So now I can host an event at a time that works for me and my family. I can make sure I can go on a vacation and not bring my computer. Like, these are the things that I wanted for myself. That it's scary. I'm the boss. I'm
Is
in
it
charge.
easy?
Absolutely not.
That's what I keep telling you. And is it okay that it's not easy?
Well, what is?
That's just it. And if
Yeah.
it was easy, everyone would be doing it and we
Exactly.
wouldn't have any problems.
I think, people get comfortable in their discomfort, right? They're like, at least I know what to expect from this job. But I tell my husband this, he is very much a creature of habit and he's an engineer and he loves his job. But I tell him, like, you could never go to your boss and say, hey, I need to make $10,000 in December. What can I do to do that?
Not
I can do
asking.
that, though.
Yes, you
I
can.
can say, what program can I create? Or how many clients do I need to get? And as long as I work hard, like, I can make that happen for myself.
The freedom.
The freedom. It's scary, but you do have that ability to make it happen.
Yeah.
And you do have to give things up. It's not all, afternoon cocktails and, trips away.
Every now and then there's afternoon cocktails.
Every now and then.
We love those.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, do you have to give up things or do you have to sometimes be working on your computer at midnight? Yes, you do. I'm not saying that's not
price of
something you
entry.
ever have to do, but it's like you're in charge of deciding what you want to give up and what you can still continue to do.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I love this, and I would love to have you back as my guest. This was just such a beautiful introduction to what School of Styling is. And then I want to end it on talking about social media and how, because yes, you have your business, but just through the nature of social media, you're an influencer now. That is in and of itself a whole thing that I don't think you probably even saw coming.
No, not at all.
How do you handle that new part of it?
So that is like a huge, it's exciting and a lot of pressure because, talking about imposter syndrome, sometimes when you have a following of that size, there is a lot of pressure. Like, am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I showing up in the right way? And I've struggled with that a lot. Are people going to respond to me as a person? Are they, because, you see this business, but like we were saying earlier, like, I'm also a real person.
Yeah.
And so I have just kind of realized, like, I don't want anyone to ever meet me and say, oh, you're not how I expected. So I really just try to be myself and show my messy house or show my kids acting crazy life. Because once again, we're all experiencing the same things. And if I can just be real and showcase myself, like I joke all the time, like I'm probably the one non-type A entrepreneur you're going to meet. Like, trust me, I'm detail oriented about a lot of things. And then a lot of things are not. Like, I do not run a tight ship. I am like, I'm organized, but at my house, like my kids are jumping on the sofa. There's probably laundry piled up. These are the things that happen at my house.
It's fine.
So that's what you're going to get. I try not to take myself too seriously. I joke around a lot. So I want people who may only know me on Instagram to feel like they really know the real me. So I really do my best to kind of marry those two worlds as best as I can.
Well, I think you do an excellent job.
Thank you.
And I'm proud of all your success because I know it's not easy and you're juggling it all, but it's the price of freedom, right?
Exactly.
So I look forward to the next retreat and we'll see all of you at ZA Ranch for the next School of Styling retreat.
Yes. Thank you so much for having
Thanks
me.
for coming,
I really
friend.
appreciate it.
Thank you.